Hi, I'm Brittney Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It's been some time since I've been live here. It's been a whirlwind on our end with endless sicknesses, it feels like, as Amber probably can relate to. But I'm super excited to have Amber on the show. With those just tuning in, welcome to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. I'm your host, Brittney Ashley, and we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans. See, it's been a little while. It's like a tongue twister now. Get ready to escape the next hour as we break norms and build dreams with Amber today. Welcome, Amber.
Hi, Brittney. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, sorry for all the technicalness and the bumpiness, and I'm like still pressing all the buttons to make sure that everyone can hear me.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Well, just do a quick little bio on who you are, and anyone who's listening today, please leave your comments, questions for Amber and myself in the chat. So we'll make sure that we monitor it today. But a little short bio on Amber. Amber is a conversational strategist who helps creative entrepreneurs grow their businesses through meaningful, intentional conversations. A formal virtual assistant turned fully booked lead generation strategist, she believes success comes from saying the right things to the right people, not being the loudest voice in the room, which we'll dig in today. She helps entrepreneurs turn every conversations into opportunities for sales, visibility, and leadership with calm, clarity, and connection. I'm so excited for you to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Yeah.
And also, we just had, I guess it's been a few weeks. I don't even know. I can't believe that we're almost in April, to be honest. My brain can't catch up.
Yeah, I agree. This beginning of 2026 has been crazy and slow. The slow, steady craziness.
It's been like a wild ride. For any parents out there, I see you, I hear you. I know it's been a rough 2026 for a lot of parents out there with a lot of sick kids. I know this year has been a bumpier ride for most, one of us as well. So I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, we're here today. We've chatted so much on, I came on Amber's podcast. Has it been 3 weeks? Well, we pre-recorded and then you launched it.
Yeah, it's been a little while since it's been out. So, yeah.
Yeah. So come take a listen to our Amber's podcast. I went live. We chatted. It was pre-recorded, but it's now released. And the Introverts Unmuted. And we talked about how we as introverted individuals kind of build connection. And some of you probably wouldn't know, but I am an introvert, extrovert, really. It takes me a lot to kind of really be in the forefront. And then I have to really wind down. But it also could be the combination of ADHD, hyper focus, and then the wind down, the whole combination of it too.
Yeah, it was such a good conversation about just exploring different introvert types and how we can really function and bring ourselves out and then go back to ourselves.
Yes. Well, maybe we can dig in first. I know I did a short little bio on yourself, but maybe you can tell the listeners on who Amber is and how you started your journey.
Yeah, so I am a mom of 2 and we live in Alberta. And I started my journey actually as a virtual assistant when I was pregnant with my second. We had just moved into a new house. I found out I was pregnant. So finding a job was then becoming very difficult. And so I dove into the online space as a virtual assistant. And then obviously went into social media management because I loved social media, as we all did when it was the good days back then. This is many years ago when it was like just it felt better. Okay, we can all agree. And so I was doing that, but then I really decided to niche down and focus on lead generation and engagement when I realized that connecting people is really where I thrived and where I love to be, is having conversations and how to move people through that flow.
Yes, amazing. And there's so many things to unpack there. The first one is motherhood and just finding like a flexible workplace environment. I think, not that I think, I know I've talked about this on the show multiple times now, and this is one of the reasons why I started Crave Dynamic Virtual Services, to help moms work from home or caregivers, because we have some individuals who aren't necessarily parents, but they come underneath the umbrella because they're taking care of their parents who need to be extra support. So in essence, is like the 9 to 5 work realm isn't very flexible, even though they say it is. It's like my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, exactly. I know, especially when school starts at 9 and you know, it ends at 3:15 and there's after school sports and there's this and that. And you're like, how am I supposed to function? And then childcare on top of that, you know, for littles. I did at one point have my littles in childcare because I also just needed a break and understanding that, but it just didn't work for them and it didn't work for me either.
And that's the thing. I think we're still so set in the old way of doing things. And I know there's like this misconception out there that, millennials or whoever, like, I don't like to stereotype in that kind of fashion. I think we're going to bring different values and thoughts into any kind of organization. But in essence is that we just need to have a workplace that is more understanding, that even if you don't have kids, that it's okay to be flexible. And I just don't like the micromanaging piece to it, because like I get things done, but if you're on me more, I'm more likely to freeze and not want to do it.
Yeah, I really agree. I actually currently have a part-time job where I am at an office 2 to 3 days a week. However, the schedule is 9 to 4 and my kids get off the bus at 4. I meet them at home. I can drop them at school because they are school age now. And as well, if I need to leave early, I can do so. I have a lunch break that I can take off if I need to switch things around or move my days. And because it is a small local company where they are parents as well, where, you know, they understand, oh, hey, yeah, you have a sick kid. Please go home. Please be with them. You're not coming in today. It's blizzarding outside. Your kids are at home. Yes, stay at home. And so really understanding too is that there are businesses and options that will be flexible with you, but you also have to be okay with voicing your thoughts and asking for help. And I think so many of us don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't ask for help when we really need it.
Yes. I think it's like a combo effect, right? I think it looks at to the employer of how opening and how they are about the conversation. I know I've been at certain places that felt like it was opening of the conversation, that it can be flexible, but then the longer I was there, like they kept switching the hours on me, which it just didn't work out. And then there's people that will definitely work with you and have that understanding. Like I have that like all in like the outlines. Actually, I started putting it in my signature recently for boundaries because I am a people pleaser. And I started to feel like, okay, I can't get to these emails right away. And I was feeling like I couldn't keep up. I don't know about this year. I just think about it this year more than ever, that I feel like someone's hitting like the fast forward button and I can't keep up. I don't know if you feel like that. I feel like someone's like playing a joke on us right now, like fast forward really fast and then slow motion in certain parts.
Yeah, it's definitely time is felt so different. And I think going back to setting those boundaries and being people pleasers, I think so many of us are people pleasers, and we have to set in our boundaries and really, once again, ask for what we want and what we need so that we can, retreat to ourselves or, do what we need to do without, I don't want to say offending people, because we can offend people, but maybe it's not our problem that we do.
Yeah. Yes. Well, going back to when you started your virtual assisting, did you find that it was really difficult for boundaries? Because I find like in that, like when you're in like the 9 to 5, like it's kind of like, yes, we talk about boundaries and all that, but as an entrepreneur, I found that it was really difficult for those to understand. Like we had multiple different clients, like the client wasn't just them per se. And so I struggled a lot when I first started, like the boundary setting.
Yeah, it really is. And I think also just saying yes to all these things that I wasn't even sure I could do. But yet I still managed to figure out how to do them. Yeah, I can rewrite your website. I've never done it before, but I could do that. Yeah, I could code that. I've never done that before. But it was, just continuing this yes and breaking those boundaries and going, yeah, I'll work at this time, or yeah, let's jump on a call here, when it wasn't really suitable, when I had a baby and a toddler. That was, people are like, how did you do it? And I'm like, truthfully, I don't think I remember, because it was all such a blur of sleepless nights and client work and this and that. And it's really hard to remember even how I went through that all.
Yeah. People today is like, oh, you're killing it. I'm like, am I?
Yeah.
I'm just barely keeping my head above water. And like, because this isn't me, but I like volunteer on the board, and I do like other things than just run Creative Dynamics and a team and have 2 littles. But I like, it fills my cup. A lot of people are like, well, why do you volunteer still if you're doing all these other things? But it's like, for me to fill my cup, like I love the radio show because I get to meet you or different individuals out there, and we dig deeper on the conversations and we peel back more onions, but then we get to learn more about like struggle day lives that a lot of people don't want to sometimes talk about. And that fills my cup too.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that even when we are so busy, is that we say yes to the things that fill us up. And maybe that boundary looks like, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else instead. And understanding that maybe they don't understand it, but that's okay, because you understand it and you know what's going to work for you and your family.
Yes, agree. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about how you decide to make the switch into doing lead gen.
Yeah, so I was doing social media management, doing content creation and all of that, and really was not loving content. And so what I did like doing is engaging with other people and commenting and having these conversations and realizing that that is exactly what I can do. And that's just what I can do. And, when we are in the online space, it's crazy to think, oh, hey, I can just do this one thing. And so that's what I decided to do, is I'm just going to do engagement, lead generation. I'm going to help people find their community, build up their space that has amazing people, whether that is for collaborations or sales, whatever it is. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, maybe you can take it back of like define lead gen for those who maybe not know.
Yes.
I'm trying as a marketer, like remind myself that people might not know what we're talking about.
So lead generation is really the act of finding someone to sell to. Really, that is the marketing term. I like to think of it as bringing people into your community to like expand your space.
Yeah.
So whether that's, you may not work with that person. And I always say you don't just want your ideal client, your, person you want to work with. You want other people in your space too that can collaborate and work beside you.
Absolutely. And I feel like sometimes social media is so in our face right now more than ever. And we get kind of a lot of noise on what lead generation should be and how you should do it. But I feel like the more, like, if you think about it, like when you go to like a buying a new car, like, do you like to go on a lot and then all of a sudden the sales guy is like right in your face, like, let me show you this car, because it's like without even like listening to you what you're even looking for. Like, I usually like hate going to car like lots like that because I don't want to be bombarded, and they still do the old style way of like coming to you. I'd rather someone's like, hey, like, I see you're looking around, I'm just over there if you need me, kind of situation. Like, build that little step up than being like right in your face.
Yeah. And it really comes down to building a relationship and building up that trust with someone, because usually when you go to a car lot, you know what you want. You're looking for something specific, and either they have it or they don't have it, or they'll work with you on getting what you want. And it's all about, hey, can they do that?
Yes. Yes. And so lead gen on social media, like, I know a lot of people, because we have so many people come to us and we do social media management, strategy, implementation. But I remind everyone, like, it's not just about implementing those pieces. It's like, how do we organically nurture the lead gen as well? Because that is so important. That's part of the full funnel. But everyone's usually like, oh, we need to post like X amount of content here. We need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, well, no, like, you should try, like, if you see somebody new that likes your post, you should reach out to them and just see what's on their feed and see if there's like that general connection. So I just went to like a woman expo, so last weekend, at the weekend before, and I collected a whole bunch of different cards, and sometimes I didn't get like a chance to fully connect with everybody. So I just kind of went through all my cards, added them all to Instagram, and made sure I made some little note of like the Victoria Expo, like, didn't get a chance to meet you, or I got to meet you, looking to connect here and build more of a connection and learn more about what you do. So it's like those little pieces, and just being like, add to Instagram and be like, do you like, I hate those ones where it's like you add them to your account and then instant sell.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want your freebie because I don't know who you are. Like, I just can't. And so it is about sending messages and having that conversation. And that's where conversations are becoming so important, because I have noticed, especially in the last little while, is more people are apt to answer a DM over make a post. And so where are you going to connect with them and really have that deeper relationship with them? It's going to be in the DMs. I mean, you don't have to make it awkward or anything big. It's not elaborate. It's a, hey, how's your week going? Mine's going crazy. What's going on? How can I help you? Send you coffee. What do you need?
Yes. And there's different social media out there, as everyone knows. So there's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I would say like Facebook, and like, I get a lot of people wanting to add me, and I don't really go on the crazy route of like adding all the people. Instagram, it depends on like, see the connections. I'm like, oh, this could be a good collab. I just want to like follow more, and so I add them. But sometimes I don't like send them a message right away because I like to watch their feed a bit. Like, I like to say like Big Brother, but on LinkedIn it's funny because I just add everybody. And then I wait for them to respond to me if they want to. It's like totally 3 different strategies.
Well, and it really has to be 3 different strategies in order to create that, because, LinkedIn, you could send more of like a salesy message, or more of a, hey, it's great to connect with you here, whatever, more professional type of message, even on LinkedIn. And sometimes on Instagram, I don't send a message right away. Maybe I'm watching their stories and I respond to one of their stories instead.
Yes. Yeah, stories are good too. I like to watch stories, and then I find those are the ones I usually do send any kind of messages to. Then just like adding somebody on Instagram, I don't really then, it's mostly the stories I like to watch.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great lead gen tool is to watch stories, see if see if you have a commonality between them, because that's essentially what you want to do is find common ground with that person to have a conversation with.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's so many people, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves sometimes on those pieces. And I think it's remembering to be your authentic self. And like, how would you go and network in person? I know there's a lot of people like going to the introvert extrovert stage. So because I'm on the board, I have a lot that I need to do in person. And I'm very like, kind of sometimes go to the sideline and just watch everybody, because I want to, one, make sure it's safe. Two, I see where like, I feel like where I can just like naturally like join the little bubble over there, or I just wait to see a common face and I'm like beeline it to them.
Yeah, and I think as an introvert, that's what we do. We observe first. We really listen before we ask questions. And most commonly, then when we do join a conversation, we ask open-ended questions so we don't have to talk a lot and we get to listen. We've really mastered that art of going, asking a long-winded question so that we can just stand back and do what we do best, which is observe and listen, while just importing like our important thoughts that we want to.
Yes. And when you go to those kind of events, I never lead with like going on right of like what I do. I wait for them to ask me what I do. I feel like that's like, I'd rather like, oh, hi, like I'm so-and-so, like, what do you do? And then it just kind of like leads the conversation. And then either yes, they'll say, ask you what you do. But if they're all about like more of the sales for them, you can tell usually right away, like they're just there more for the sale than actually building true connections. And I'm more about building true connections because those lead to really good collaborations.
Yeah, and I think it always comes down to the questions that you ask and how you answer the questions that are asked to you. We can keep answers very short, like, how are you today? I'm good. Well, then the conversation is over at that point. People don't want to talk to other people if there's not a flow happening. Yes. So allowing yourself to open up in that conversation when someone asks you a question, even as an introvert, because sometimes we don't always want to open up and share, but that's how the deeper conversation that we love to have happens. So, for example, I would say if someone asks, how was your weekend? And you say, oh, it was good. Well, that's kind of the end. Or you say, oh, well, I was reading this book and I just finished it and I was in so deep all weekend and I've been reading all these different types of book. What have you been reading? Anything good lately? That changes the conversation and keeps it going, and you get to learn about them and they feel safe opening up to you.
And also too, when you see individuals that you've seen from the past, I always try to like go talk to them first when I go to the events too. And I think I'm having like, could be the true dyslexic thing sometimes, memory loss for names. I found out is a thing. But I feel like I always try to make a presence of like, oh, I see you. Like, it's so nice to see you again. How's X, Y, and Z doing? And then it kind of solidifies that one step movement that, Brittney remembered me talking about my dog here. Like, she's actually truly interested to know more about me than just like trying to sell service.
Yeah, and I think that's so important nowadays when we really want to build that trust
Mhm.
with people, and people want to build that trust with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to say this because I have another question, and then this might take a little longer. We're already almost midway. So welcome to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. We're live on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans. See, I told you it was going to go by really fast. Mm-hmm. My next question that I didn't want us to interrupt. Well, I did that. My next question was going to be about collaboration. Mm-hmm. What do you think is a good collaboration for if there's anyone new starting a business, or there's businesses out there and they're trying to think of building like a collaboration base? Like, where should one start and how they know it's going to be a good fit?
Yeah, it's really understanding each other's audiences and what you can provide for their audience, whether you go on their podcast, their live stream, blog swap or email swap, whatever it looks like, is really understanding their audience and them to yours. Can they provide something of value to your audience and vice versa? So thinking of topics that you know can be suited towards different audiences can really be helpful. And then really too, saying, you know what, I don't think it's a good fit right now. Can we come back at a later time when something else has changed?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to have everybody on. And I think that's so crucial, or say yes to absolutely every podcast and every live stream, because first of all, it does take effort. It takes time. And if it's not going to go well for you, then it's just not going to be worth it.
Yes. And I think, because I've done some collabs along the way, and I find like if you're the one doing all the work too, because I felt like a few times, like I'm pretty good at building sites and doing all the things, but I just felt like I was doing it all. And those are the ones where you're like, start to question a little bit. And I'm really excited. I just created a really amazing collab with Joyce. She was on the show a few months back. And we're doing, I'm also a trauma with money practitioner. So I come in on like the trauma side, and then she comes in on the financial education side, and we do those workshops together. And like such a good collab. Like I love working with Joyce, and it's just like organically fits. And I feel like you're not trying so hard. I feel like the ones where you feel like you're trying so hard, like, why are you trying to force it?
Yeah, exactly. If you can't just like hop on a call or just voice note back and forth ideas, then it's not going to feel it's going to feel more transactional. And I have had a few blog post swaps where it's so transactional. Like I've written a blog and they've written a blog, and that's it. We put it up and that was the end of it. And I was like, okay, but I feel like there's more. So really just understanding what you want out of it. What is the purpose of the collaboration?
What you can build from it. Like Jill, who is also on my show, she has so many different things going on. And it's like, even though I think this year we haven't really been in touch, but I know that that's a good connection that I feel like I can just send her an email like, hey, I thought of this. And she's like, yes, let's do it. Like there's certain ones that you just know that are in your pocket for different ideas, who are super open to it. And I actually have like somebody here who's like has a counseling practice, and she's like, Brittney, because we've just built different conversations throughout the years, and she's like, whatever you want to do and you want to bring me into it, it's all yes, just tell me when. And it's like, it's amazing to have like that feeling that you, even though you haven't done anything yet, that there's somebody that wants to really build something with you too.
Yeah, and having that support and having that community around you. And that's all part of the lead generation. Really, it's bringing those people in and going, hey, I would love to do this. What are your thoughts?
Yes. I actually met somebody recently, and she does jewelry. I'm like trying to create this big thing, and everybody's like, I'm in. I'm like, hey, I really need to sit down and plan something. I feel like there's something there. I just needed like a minute to like really plan it. But I feel like all of these pieces will finally come together and it's going to be pretty powerful. But it's just like, I just need a minute, my brain to like digest something. I know it's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did you find, because we talked a bit about motherhood, but maybe we can kind of dig a little bit on that side, how you found like juggling, because it was more or less you started working from home with the second, but not the first, right?
Yeah. So the first, I was working a full-time job, and after my 12 months of maternity leave, I went back to work. However, and I was supposed to go back full-time. And at that time, my husband was working away, so he was gone 4 or 5 nights out of the week. So I essentially was solo parenting a toddler. I was away from family, so I had no support. My child did not do well in a day home. He cried and cried and cried. I had to take time off from my work. And then, of course, if you've ever had a kid go into daycare, their first 6 months, they are sick.
Yeah.
And so I had essentially used almost all my sick days at my job. I had to get my mom at that time to come up and help me, and stay with us. And it was so hard, and then we finally like moved closer to family. And I had my second, and it was really then I was like, hey, I can't go back to work because, I didn't want that same thing happening. I'm like, now I have 2 of them. And at that time, my husband was still working away. So now I am solo parenting 2 kids.
Yes.
And so then when he finally came home, it was like a relief. But at the same time, I was still there with my kids. Because they, so it was really a matter of trying to figure out how I could still be an adult and a mom, something apart that I could call my own, that I could be in a world that didn't involve snacks and crying babies all the time.
Yes.
Which is hard sometimes because they're still calling for snacks on every time. But then they got older and they did, go into daycare for a little bit here and there. And then when they started school, I did actually homeschool for a couple of years.
I remember you saying.
Which was a lot.
I don't know how you did it. Like my neighbor was her 3 kids, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. But you did it.
I did homeschool for a couple of years, and then it really took a toll on really my mental health of being like, I love my kids so much, but I could not give to them anymore. And I couldn't give to my business, and I couldn't give to my marriage, and to this and this and this. It was like my anxiety of overwhelm was so high.
Yeah.
And really understanding that and saying, nope. And so that is when actually I went and got the part-time job that I was talking about. My kids went into public school, which we live in a small town. So it is, their friends are there. It's, their cousins are there, and it's a really good place. And so it's just, and then it was like I could breathe. And then I can be there, and I can have the cookies made for them again and do the things that I love to do while still helping them. And I think we, try and give so much to everyone else and forget us.
Yep.
And so as soon as, during homeschooling and whatnot, and I had realized, okay, I need to give to myself, and started taking what I called mommy timeouts to really ground myself again, and then continuing to do that in different capacities.
Yes. I'm like, is like a true COVID baby. So all those true COVID babies out there, probably or is as sick as like my one kiddo. Like I feel like constantly sick because didn't get the same experience and exposure out in the world like others did back then. And so like going into like daycare, I felt like was always home, no matter what. Didn't matter what we did, like always home.
Yeah.
So like I'm really excited for kindergarten. Not gonna lie, I'm like, I see the light. I'm a little sad because that's like my last baby. So I'm like, oh no. But I feel like it's like, oh, I'll finally see more of the balance that I've been wanting to have.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one that will have, like, my husband works full time. So, and like, that's the thing going back to the 9 to 5s, like, unfortunately, not a lot of them are really like, you have to use your sick days. And you're using your sick days. So like, I always say, like, if I had a 9 to 5, I probably would have been fired like over 600 times by now because the amount of times like either kid has been homesick. And it's like, no matter what kind of vitamins or anything you give, like the world is crazy with all these different strains rolling out, like no matter what. It doesn't help that the kid will also like go and look.
Yeah, he's gonna go lick that wall and it's gonna be fine. I totally get that. You know, and we've also been very fortunate. My husband does work a full-time job, but he is now home in the evenings, but he also has flexibility sometimes too, to if I'm like, hey, I need to go do this, he's like, hey, well, I can work at home today, or I can be with the kids. And so it's really come down to, you know, communicating. And it all comes down to conversations and communicating, whether you're a mom, parenting, whatever it is having that clear communication around your needs.
Yes. And I find like going to, because we as society have like this image on what mom should be doing and be the super woman mom, right? Doing all the things, work a 9 to 5, work, take care of the kids, take them to the soccer, whichever, after all the other things in between. And then where do we get fit in? Like in the middle, if we're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. And it was trying to figure out how can you put yourself first, you know, so that you can actually have the patience to deal with your kid melting down that his clothes are too tight today or whatnot. You know, it's so important for us to stay regulated. And we've had to really teach ourselves through all of this how to stay regulated. And I was not, you know, during that time, I was really not. And so my kids, did get the worst of me. They did get a lot of good from me. But then once they understood, oh, when mom is relaxed, then I can feel relaxed too. You know, now my kids know about meditation and tapping and deep breaths. And when mom's taking deep breaths, we should all probably take deep breaths, you know. So it's really just showing them too different techniques and asking, you know, and modeling that behavior for our kids.
So funny. My son the other day, I can't remember what my daughter was doing. He's like, you need to calm yourself.
Oh boy.
I got that from the daycare because I know they do a lot of yoga and stuff.
Yeah.
Love it though.
So funny.
Because like I'm always like a stress ball. I'm always like on edge sometimes, but that's just like my ADHD self, like always overworking over the overwhelmed state sometimes. And so like we were just eating dinner and him saying that, like we burst out laughing. We're like, well, it's kind of true. You need to calm down. Yeah, love him. He sure knows how to make us laugh.
That's good. There's always one. I know my youngest now is in grade 2. So, you know, he's 7 and my oldest is 10. And to me, it is crazy that they have spent the majority of their life, if not all of it, watching me work from home and understand, you know, calls and working on your phone and all of the possibilities of doing stuff. You know, they create on their own YouTube channels. They get to do things that, like, when I was a kid was not around or thought of. And so really giving them that opportunity to do something different and have all of these resources and watch their mom be at home is really powerful too.
I think we're going to see such more of a spurt of entrepreneurs. Like I always say that, like the next generations, I think, are just going to be more entrepreneurs than anything else. Then the corporate world's just going to slowly, like, they're not going to be able to find the people. They're always out being entrepreneurs, wanting to do their own thing, travel and everything else in between.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot.
Just seeing, I was just watching my time because that time's different than this time. So I'm like, don't want to go over. But no, thank you for sharing that. I remember you telling me that you were homeschooling because we've known each other quite some time, actually. So it's more or less like we've only started doing like little collabs like this together. So I'm super excited. But I do remember you telling me that you homeschooled. And I was like, oh, I don't know how. For me too, like, because I do have dyslexia. Like, I had somebody ask me like, oh, you should just homeschool. I was like, I can't, because I don't want to be as disservice to them, because I just know I wouldn't be a good teacher. There's still learning struggles I have myself for reading. Like my husband, on the other hand, sure, he can go do it. I volunteer him.
Yeah, it's when you decide, it's such a unique like experience, and I am now very, very much involved in my kids' education. I'm probably at school talking to teachers like once a month. Because, and I think people are like, oh, you're such a mama bear. I'm like, no, I know exactly what's happening in my kid's education and what he needs and what I can do for him extra. Because yes, my oldest does have, you know, like his memory isn't very good, which is making his reading comprehension more difficult. And so, you know, and his math isn't super great. And these are all things that when we homeschooled, we worked on, you know, and so putting him in the public school, he now also gets more support than I could offer him. And that's important too, is that he's had assessments done and that he's getting other help where he needs it. But he has drastically improved this year, which is just like so amazing to see him. And his teachers go, he is a completely different kid from when he first started at the beginning of the year till now, you know, and seeing his confidence grow in that aspect too. And he's like, I'm creating a club with my friends and all of this. And that's where it's so important to go, yes, you can homeschool. And I want, like, I probably would love to homeschool again. I'm not going to lie, but in a different capacity. And I think what's important is you have the support around you. Finding a good homeschool community with a co-op is going to be important. And that's where I struggled, is finding a good community to do things with. We had a very small one. It wasn't super great in the support wise. And so I think that's where it's really crucial, if you choose to homeschool, is having that support, just like when we, you know, put our kids in public school, the support around them.
I love that. And I find too, because I know you said that you're really involved with the teachers, and I think everyone can be really involved with the teachers too. Like we just had Anne on the show January, and we just talk about like early intervention and how it's really good to get kids assessed early on. The importance of it, because unfortunately sometimes in the schools, like, they're telling us that we're too early, but like we're just getting my daughter through all these different assessments, and I feel like we're at the perfect point, because now she's going to get the actual support that she needs in different areas. But they kept saying like, no, everything's fine. And you just know as a mom, and like you can just see there's certain struggles, and so to advocate for them, because sometimes the kids won't know what they need to advocate for too.
Yeah, I really agree with that, is that as a parent, it's our job to advocate for our children, especially with other adults, because they don't necessarily know our kids. They have lots of other kids in their care, right? So, and sometimes our kids act differently at school than they do at home, and they mask it. And so really just explaining certain things can really help our kids out in different environments.
Like my one kid is like a non-talker at home. And then when she goes to school, completely quiet, like completely, like totally like pulled back, or like totally like my mini me, like that was me when I was little. And so that's what I was just saying to the lady being assessed, like, and she loves like the one-on-one too. Gets to really know you, like blossom. Like she just wants to stay at that assessment place for like 100 years if she could choose to. Like she got all the things. Like, and I even said to her, I'm like, how she's with you is completely different how she's at school. Like it would be nice for some of them actually showing up at the school so you can see how they really physically are, because a lot of kids are masking. And sometimes, and it's good to see like the outside pictures. I have like my sister-in-law in there, and like oh, like made some like comments to me. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's nice to hear like extra feedback on it, because I didn't want to be like the crazy person thinking it's just me.
Yeah, I know. And then you go into this like thought of like, was it just me or is it something else? So, but I think it's always important just to have conversations, open conversations, and even with your kids, you know, talking to them about it and going, what are you, you know, my youngest sometimes has trouble identifying his emotions. And so we have trained him over the years on how are you feeling right now? Where is it in your body and how are you feeling? Because then that can help him continue and manage that situation.
Yes. And I don't know if everyone, I think it's like your upbringing too. Like if you're not used to talking about emotions, sometimes like it's not really brought into the conversation. But there's different ways, like there's different games out there that you can play with them so they can understand the different emotions. Because I remember my daughter saying something to me. I was like, well, she said something like, I'm trying to remember what she said, but I was like, no, that's not the emotion that you're trying to say. It's actually this emotion. Like those are two separate ones. And she's like, oh, but it's nice to know like the different, like, I know like, schools talk about it a lot. I know like there's certain classrooms they have like, are you sad, angry? And then you can like touch them and see them. And I know like some daycares do that too. So it's nice that they're kind of like bringing and talking into those different building blocks for the kids too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I know we're almost at time. Is there any tips that you want to share with anybody who's just wanting to maybe start a business?
Is just start conversations, just start talking to people with no expectation behind it. And I think that is probably one of the hardest things to do, but it's really just important to converse with people. It's not, if you're starting out on social media, it's not a post and pray. You have to talk to people, and, you know, not just like comments or a like, because that's just not where it's at anymore.
No.
It's really in the DMs or getting on coffee chats, or, you know.
I have so many coffee chats. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
You always are chatting. And I was like, it's all about the chatting though.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, just like voice noting and just chatting. And I think that's where the growth happens, is when you just start talking, having conversations.
My sister-in-law, she's like, I don't know how you go out and about all the time. And like, I send her clients. And I was like, I just love it actually. Even though I'm like true introvert, I am like it definitely like fills my cup, because I just love meeting people. And I always believe there's different connections that can be made along the way. Maybe not for me, but I can at least connect others. So there's actually on one of the shows, I might have Kim on the show so she can share this thing, which I think your kids would like this. So it's a cat. And they did voice recordings of different cats, the purring sounds, because research has shown how much it helps regulate our nervous system. And kids with ADHD and stress, and it actually like kind of vibrates a little bit. And they took 3 different cats, like I think it's like Avocado, 2 different names. I just remember Avocado because it's super cute. Anyways, there's research that shows that this thing like actually regulates our system. And I just love it because I was like, oh, now I have all these other ideas for you. And I want to connect you with these people, like just like cross, like, you know, like small businesses help grow each other up. And it's building those connections and collaborating, even if it's not just for me, just connecting those people too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Yeah. Well, is there any last minute thoughts you want to share with anyone and how they can find you? I have your website down below.
Yeah, so there's my website, obviously, or on Instagram, just put in my name. I am there. I have a couple accounts. That's kind of my main conversation account is the Amber Hansel, or on LinkedIn. And I do have a podcast called Introverts Unmuted, where you can find all of it's on Spotify, Apple, Substack. You can find all of the episodes there.
Amazing. And you can come listen to ours because it's a good conversation.
Yes.
So, well, thank you so much, Amber, for coming on the show today. And thank you for all our listeners. I feel like I was watching the numbers go up. Like that's the most I've seen people live listen.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was such a good conversation.
Yeah, well, thank you again for all our listeners, Amber, and a big thank you to United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network. With that, everyone, remember your journey is unique and your worth is unquestionable. I hope everyone has a wonderful Monday, and we'll be